I'm George. Nice to meet you. Um, well, hopefully everybody's doing pretty good. This next movie I'm talking about is called The A-Team. It's the 2010 version, not the 1980s version. I do think the 1980s version was better, but this A-Team starts off in Iraq, and they they start off in Iraq in a camp with General Morrison, is what they called him. It's a action adventure thriller, so they end up having to go into Baghdad to get some printing press plates, so they can what do you want to call it? So they can um, printing press plates and money, so they can stop Saddam Hussein. I guess is the guy that they're talking about in here, to keep from making U.S. money and devaluing the dollar. And it's Iraq, Iraq, Baghdad, yeah. So when they go in and get the container full of money and plates, they steal stuff from the camp and people, and it's all fun to watch them do that. Steal flags from their enemy, the Black Forest people and the CIA. So they get all the fun stuff, and it's funny to watch how they do this, pull it off. They get motorcycles and helicopters and um, more to it before that. But okay, we'll step back in a minute. When they first come together, uh, the A-Team, the Hannibal, goes after Face, finds Murdock and B.A. along the way. So Face goes after this warlord in Iraq that he's sleeping with his wife, and finds himself in tires. And then B.A. fights for his van and gets halfway across the desert after he gets it, and gets hijacked by the leader of the A-Team. So they ended up getting pulled together. Then the helicopter ride coming out back to the U.S. Well, it would be Mexico, be in the U.S. Back to the U.S. Is interesting. They go quiet, fly the helicopter and shut the motor off, which is completely insane, but it'd be fun. It's fun to watch. Don't know if they really did it. Don't know how it works. I know in remote control cars it don't work at all. Or helicopters, it don't work at all because it just falls flat to the ground before you can get it started again. Anyway, so they end up in Iraq. So they end up stealing this container full of money and plates and landed in the base landing zone. And then it ends up blowing up, and then Black Forest goes away. They get prosecuted because they did do the job they were ordered to do and become fugitives of justice. They all get put in separate prisons, and then it goes with Face rebuilding the prison so that he can have his saunas and weight rooms and all the fun stuff that goes along with that. Guards in his bed, stuff that normally probably wouldn't happen. Um, Hannibal works on a plan to figure out where the plates are at, so they end up going after what they call the Arab. And they get, B.A. decides he's got a conscience, so he's not killing anybody during that, but they all go on the mission, and the way they escape from the jails is pretty good because Face gets hauled out in a tanning booth, and Murdock gets broke out with a Humvee, and B.A. Gets pulled away on a back door of the bus. It's kind of interesting how they did it. Lots of action, lots of thriller. Then once they get out of jail, they go steal an aircraft from the U.S. military. It gets shot down by Reaper drones, so they end up trying to fly a tank, which is kind of funny because it's only got one parachute, and they try to move it towards the lake so they can have some kind of soft landing, and they fire several shots off using the thrust of the cannon. They didn't ever tell you where the shells landed, but they used the thrust of the cannon to move that tank over above the lake. Then they use the thrust of the cannon to slow it down, and then they end up driving the tank out of the lake, which is kind of funny. Then they go get the Arab, which they found out it's the old commander of the base they were on, and let's see, the warehouse they were in, talking to him after they get all the plates in the Arab, and figure all this stuff out, gets blown up by Lynch, and then turns out to be a pretty good movie. The ending's a little different than what you'd expect from a movie like this, but oh yeah, they get to destroy a container ship. So there's lots of destruction, lots of damage, lots of special effects. Turns out to be a pretty funny movie, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 star rating. And the sucker came out in 2010. So that turns out to be a more interesting movie, almost as interesting as the original. I think the original was more fun. But, it's just the way it is. And this is a pretty good movie in its own right, so it's worth watching. I suggest you get it and watch it.